Carolina. You are here with women's NCAA gymnastics on ESPN3 inside the newly renovated Reynolds Coliseum. Tonight we've got a great matchup between the number 42 ranked Towson Tigers and number 44 NC State Wolfpack. You're here with Rachel Garland and Stephanie Ouellette. And Stephanie, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to see tonight. So we're at the end of season. These two teams ranked 2 numbers apart, essentially. What can we expect out of both teams?
Hopefully we'll see NC State having a little better showing than they did last week. They still don't have a complete lineup. A lot of injured girls, so hoping that they are back in their home gym and are able to pull it together and come out with a better score. As for Towson, every week is a chance to do better than the weekend before, and they're still trying to get that season high again of a 195. Last week they scored a 194. Hopefully they can do it again this weekend.
Definitely. I think both of these teams are really looking for some extremely strong showings if they're going to have a chance to make it to regionals. So again, you've got to be in the top 36 to make it to regionals. Both of these teams just outside the cusp. Are they even able to move up 6 spaces in a matter of 2 weeks?
You never know. There's always that chance. There's been teams that have been in their same spot who've actually done it. So I guess it's anyone's game towards the end.
Definitely. And let's talk about that RQS, so their regional qualifying score. So we know both teams at this point, so you take the top 6 scores, 3 have to be from away, throw out the high score, and then average the next one. So if both teams have a really strong showing tonight and they can maybe get rid of a bad score, how do you think that'll affect their rankings?
If you can throw out a low 193, 194, and throw in a 195 or even a 196, it changes a lot for them.
I think that'll be great. Again, right now both teams, their season high scores are not being counted in that team RQS. Here you've got the vault lineup. So again, NC State going to start tonight on the vault. Towson will be on the uneven bars. We've got 3 seniors on both teams. 2 of them will start off the competition on vault, Courtney Layton and Amanda Filler, that we'll see a little bit later in the lineup. Now it looks like we are getting ready to get started, just waiting on the salute from the judges, and Courtney is ready to go. Courtney, a very unique vault to start off the lineup, a handspring front pike, one of probably the only front entries we'll see tonight. It looked like on that one maybe a little bit of bent knees. It's hard to see when they're going so fast.
Yes, bent knees, which made the landing a little hard for her.
Definitely. And over to the uneven bars. What's nice is we will be going one event at a time. This is Noelle Harada for the Tigers.
That was a very pretty straddle Jaeger.
And some of the things that we can look for, so on the uneven bars, they have special requirements that they have to, every routine has to have. There you guys see the bar lineup for Towson. But on these routines, some of those are those bar releases that the judges are looking for. They have to have 2 bar changes in every routine, going from high bar to low bar to high bar. So that's always one thing to keep your eyes on.
Judges have small rotating scoreboards on their tables. The number in red signifies the number, the score that judges put into.
Looks like over on vault, we've got the judges just finishing up scoring Courtney Layton's vault. On vault, unlike the other 3 events, so each vault is just given a starting value. We're going to see the layout Yurchenko full from Drew and from several other girls tonight. Again, devalued to a 995.
It really makes a big difference.
It does. I don't think any of these teams have a 10-0 start value, so they're going to be able to really differentiate between some of these scores, and again, just that step on the landing. I think that's one thing NC State's really got to start getting better at season to season is some of these stuck landings, or not stuck landings. You see Bridget Steffen getting ready for Towson on the uneven bars. Bars takes a little bit longer, so the judges look like they're still calculating a couple of the scores. So what else can we expect to see on the uneven bars as far as some of the difficulty of the element, some of the bar changes that we were talking about?
Something to pay close attention to is you'll notice that with college bar routines, you're unable to do 2 squat-ons. You have to either jump over the low bar, start between the bars, or even start from the back end of the bars.
So she used her squat on at the very beginning. So there you see a different transition, just a toe shoot back up to the high bar. And you see a lot of these skills in combination just because the routines don't actually start from a 10.0. The girls have to do bonus combinations worth a 10th or 2/10 to do some of those. Looks like a 9.725 for Grantham for the Wolfpack. Next up is Alexa Phillips. Again, they lay out Yurchenko full. What do you think of that one?
It was a small pike down, definitely caused that hop, but it was very pretty.
Yeah, I thought she had a great line in the air. I don't think she really needed to pike down, but maybe just she thought she did just to make sure that she landed on her feet. She actually went for a stick last weekend, opened up a little bit too soon, and ended up having to put her hands forward. So she did end up technically falling on her vault last weekend. So probably playing a little bit safe.
Always worth taking the hop versus the fall.
Definitely. 1/10 versus 5. I think Coach Stevenson will take that as well. This is Gabriella Yarusi for the Tigers, up third in their lineup. The Tigers last week on the uneven bars, a 48.45, leading to their team total of a 194.4. Unfortunately, even with a 194.4, they came in 4th place. Out of 4, but it's hard to have too many teams in a gymnastics meet.
It looks like she's going to start in between the bars.
So again, just some of the uniqueness in all of these bar routines. What's nice is each girl is better at certain skills, so they can make up these bar routines. There's no set standard to whatever types of skills the gymnast performs better. They've got to have, again, those release moves. They have to have a longitudinal axis turn, so something lengthwise around the body, whether it's a pirouetting skill, a release move with a turn in it. So those are some of the things. And then you have to have a dismount valued at a C, so that's why we see a lot of the double backs, the double layouts, which is even harder. A nice Shaposhnikova all the way up to the high bar, and then an immediate second bar change. A lot of bonus points. There's that longitudinal axis turn.
With a very nice stick at the end.
Stuck landing. You kind of hit the nail on the head when you stick that landing. So far, it's looking like this meet's going to be a pretty close one. Amanda Fillard on vault. And again, just that hop backwards out of the Wolfpack.
If they could take smaller steps or even just get that stick, it would really raise their overall vault score quite a bit.
Yeah, I would think they'd be able to go up about 5/10 or so if they're able to start sticking some of the landing. So, but again, this is a young team. Coach Stevenson, I think from the very first meet of the season to where we're at today, he has lost 20 routines. There's some that have come in, and there's obviously other gymnasts that have stepped up to the plate, but a gymnastics meet only has 24 routines in it in total. So you can tell the team's just been plagued with injuries, and a lot of these girls just haven't had time to practice those stuck landings.
I definitely think that's something that's going to help them in the future, though, these younger girls getting the chance to try out their routines now, get that experience.
I think next year they're going to have a phenomenal season just because they will have had so many younger girls with a lot of that experience. Back over to the uneven bars, Courtney Baker up for Towson. And again, vault takes about 4 seconds for the gymnast to complete. Uneven bars is probably about 30 seconds or so. If you get much longer than that, I think the gymnast gets a little too winded. Bars
was definitely one of those events for me that was a little more nerve-wracking to compete. once you start, you got to keep going.
You definitely do. I was always the leadoff person on bars, which was a pro and a con at the same time. It was always very nerve-wracking because you do want to set the bar, you want to set the standard. Pardon the pun there, but you want to set the standard for the rest of the team and the rest of the lineup. So there's a lot of pressure on that leadoff person. But you're right, it's not over till it's over, and you just got to keep going. So again, this is Courtney Baker for Towson. Courtney's a sophomore out of Andover, Massachusetts.
A little struggle on that giant full, but the beginning of the bar routine was very pretty.
Yeah, definitely. I think just a little bit gassed at the end there. One thing that the judges are looking for is kind of that swingfulness, making sure that they make it look easy. That one, it looked like she struggled a little bit, so definitely a deduction there. Over on the vault, that was Paris Phillips. So Paris making a return tonight after missing the last few meets. I believe we'll see her on one other event. She's not quite back in lineup or in the all-around, but we'll start with 2 and see if Coach Stevenson can't get her back before the Eagle Championship.
Which is the most important meet, really sets, if they're going to get to regionals or not. So they need to have all their top performers ready next weekend.
Definitely. With 3 meets left technically in the season, I think both of these teams could still have a viable shot, but they're going to need to hit 3 of probably their best meets of their season so far to even move up in the ranks. Tyra McKellar getting some words of wisdom, some last-minute advice from her teammates. Tyra, a junior out of Frederick, Maryland. Nice hometown gymnast. She's one of our all-arounders tonight, so we will get our first look at her here on the uneven bars, and then we'll get 3 more chances to follow up with Tyra on the coming events. And again, I'm seeing this more and more where gymnasts either start in between the bars or some of them even run under the low bar to jump up to the high bar.
I think it really helps just save their energy for the rest of their bar routine. Why add an extra skill that's going to get deducted if they don't need it?
Definitely, and that may also be part of your nice pack salted there. Part of what you were saying where they can't have 2 squat on, so you got to start on 1 bar. Sometimes they choose the high bar.
That was a dismount you don't see all the time either. A blind landing, but very pretty.
Yeah, that was awesome, and very rarely do you see a stuck blind landing. She seemed to know exactly where she was at, nailed that. Chelsea Knight, the 6th and final person for the Wolfpack on vault. Another layout Yurchenko full, and the tiniest little hop there.
That was very pretty, and it didn't look like she piked down. Looked like her body stayed fairly straight throughout the whole thing.
If that was worth a 10, I would probably give it a 9.95. So I'm thinking since it's a 9.95 start value, maybe a 9.9. I really didn't see anything else wrong with it outside of that hop. She could get a 9.9 out of that vault. That's amazing.
It would really help that team score.
Most definitely. And in the final spot on Towson's team, we have Marielle Adreno. Marielle will see 3 times tonight. There you see so far the scores coming in for NC State. Hopefully, and I'm going to assume that Chelsea Knight's score was above a 9.65, so they'll be able to drop that and come close at least to a 49, hopefully, for the evening. I don't know if it'll quite make that 49. Looking for a 9.8 average there. All right, and again, the final competitor for the Towson Tigers.
Another unique mount running from behind the bar.
Huge Tkachev, again, one of those big release moves that the judges are really looking for. And then her second one and the longitudinal axis turn. You saw her hand slip a little bit there, but able to save it.
Good finish with that little air in the middle.
Yeah, definitely. So far, both teams off to a strong start. It looks like it really is going to be a close competition tonight. Again, these two ranked side by side in the NCAA rankings, and I think both of them are showing exactly why. So we are going to take a break. Again, that was the final competitor. We will get all the scores tabulated from event number 1. We'll be back on ESPN 3. NCAA Gymnastics on ESPN 3. You are floorside with Rachel Garland and Stephanie Ouellette. And we're getting ready to move into the second rotation. But before that, let's take a look at some of the highlights from rotation number 1. It is senior night here, so you've got some of the seniors coming out onto the floor. All right, and it looks like we've got a little bit of technical difficulties, but we will get some of those highlights for you. So overall right now, so our team totals on event number 1, 48.925 out of the NC State Wolfpack, a 48.55 for the Towson Tigers. What did we see great out of NC State on vault, and what do you think they can improve on for their meet on Sunday and then also going into the Eagle Championship?
They had 6 great vaults to make us their 5-man score. That definitely helped them get that higher score than last week, and hopefully next weekend they can just work on their landings.
I think it definitely helps that they were able to put in 6 gymnasts while they were going. And then over on the uneven bars, the Towson Tigers of 48.85. We saw some great things like the stuck landing, some really big releases. Still 4 tenths behind, so what can they do to improve?
They definitely just need to work on those landings. That's always where you can pick up those tenths.
Definitely, and maybe a little bit of form on some of their handstands.
Absolutely.
Judges always seem to be very picky on those. So there you see the breakdown of Towson's uneven bar scores. Some pretty solid ones, 9.6s to 9.8s. Again, they want to try to get that mid 9.7, I would say, to a mid 9.8 is probably the ideal.
Absolutely. You always
range.
want to throw out that 9.6 if you can.
Exactly, and they can throw out one, but they still got the 2 9.675s there. So we are going to get started on event 2. There you see the NC State vault score. So like you said, getting rid of the 9.6s, we do get to drop Courtney Layton's 9.65. We've got 2 9.8s in there out of Paris and Chelsea. Again, Coach Stevenson, really glad to have Paris back in the lineup. And just some big steps on some of those landings. So like you said, Alexa, pike down in her hips. Drew, a pretty big step on her landing. Amanda, the hop on her landing, and all of those would be in the 9.8 range. So again, moving forward, NC State is going to be on the uneven bars. Towson will be on the vault. So in a dual meet for collegiate gymnastics, the home team rotates in Olympic order. The away team just kind of flip-flops with where the home team is not, I guess.
Dual meets are definitely nice to watch. You can see everything going on as opposed to a 3 or 4 person meet. And next weekend when they're at conference, they're going to have
six teams, I believe, in the Eagle now. Used to be 8, now it's 6. And then both of these teams actually have 2 meets this weekend. So NC State home tonight, away on Sunday. Towson the opposite, away tonight, home on Sunday, and then another meet next week. And what is that going to do to their bodies this late in the season?
Traveling always makes competing a little rough. Meets are always rough as well. You think that you're not doing as much as you would in practice, but it's actually the opposite. You get all hyped up and you're a little more nervous. It makes you a little more tense. So it's going to be a rough weekend, but as long as those girls stay confident and take care of themselves, it should be okay.
Definitely. They've got NC State's got a quad meet on Sunday. Towson, I believe, has a tri-meet on Sunday, so they can definitely still throw out some big scores. And again, they're Eagle rivals, so they're going to see each other again in 8 days. I believe Eagles on Saturday.
Yes.
Yes, March 18th. March 18th, 2 p.m. here in Reynolds Coliseum. All right, and then we've got the vault lineup for Towson. Again, Marielle, we already saw her on bars. Courtney Baker, Tyra McKellar, names that are definitely familiar so far. Already started off their night, followed by Bailey, Gabriella, and Erin. Marielle, the anchor on the uneven bars, up first on vault. Is that a difficult transition?
That definitely is a difficult transition. What's so nice is being able to have touch, and they don't go until you're ready. So you have that time to breathe if you need it.
Fantastic. And we will see some different vaults out of Towson here tonight. So starting with that one, a Yurchenko tuck full. You saw the landing, chest down, had to take that step forward and almost off the mat. A tuck full only worth, I believe, a 9.9 in collegiate gymnastics. So you can tell that score is going to be quite a bit lower. And then Drew Grantham is the leadoff man for the NC State Wolfpack. Catch up with here in the middle of her bar routine. So far, so good. A little bit short on that handstand, or at least from our angle, it looked like it.
Very nice dismount, just a small step.
Much better. She actually pinged off of the uneven bars last weekend, completed the double layout, but ended at the end of the mat and fell forward. So NC State, a rough time last weekend on the uneven bars, so we will keep our fingers, toes, eyes, legs crossed that does not happen tonight. And there you've got the lineup there. Again, 2 seniors in this lineup. We'll see Hannah Sobahan on her event specialty for the uneven bars, and then Amanda Fillard, who also started on vault. We will see her again coming up. Courtney Baker up again on the vault. Just a very clean layout Yurchenko. So that one, a 9.8 start value. So that's the maximum that she can get, which is the score that Chelsea Knight and Paris actually met and exceeded.
That makes it really hard when you're trying to come back and gain a higher score than your competition when you're starting lower than their score is.
Yeah, so it's definitely difficult. Towson, again, you put up the best of what you can do, and a 9.8 start value is not that it's bad, but a lot of collegiate gymnasts score a 9.8 or higher, so it's going to be hard for her score to be competitive. Back over to the uneven bars, Alexa Phillip, so not normally a bar competitor. Knowing what happened to the team last weekend, what do you think is going through Alexa's mind?
I think it puts a little more pressure on those coming in because they want so badly to help their team out. But with a rough showing last weekend, you really got to say you can't do much worse.
And I think that was great for her. You saw a little bit of form breaks, but like you said, she really wants to be able to help out the team. She normally competes on vault and beam in the lineup today on the uneven bars, and I think that's exactly what her coaches expected out of her. Tyra McKellar here on vault. Again, another tucked Yurchenko full. So 9.9 start value. Some issues again on the landings. So both teams really need to focus on that. That's I think one of the major differences you'll see in like the top 10 schools versus some of the schools in, like the 30s and 40s.
Something that really makes twisting vault so hard is if you twist early, you have this aggressive run into it and you're twisting early that when you land, you're somewhat out of control. And the only thing you can do is step.
Yeah, your body's almost still wanting to twist. And like I said, you have to hop or step or something to slow that momentum down. We've got Hannah Sobahan ready for the uneven bars. So Hannah, again, one of the seniors tonight, bar specialist, walk on to NC State, and really just absolutely loves this event. So I think it's fantastic that she's really been able to come in and help her team on the event that she likes to do. Courtney Layton, again, the opposite on vault. That's the one event that she practices and trains, and it's nice that she gets to be able to contribute to the team score overall.
I don't believe we saw this mount earlier. This helps with the whole 2 squat on thing as well.
Definitely. That's the mount that I did. I straddled because I couldn't get the whole like legs together thing. A little bit close there on her pike jagger.
Very nice overshoot.
Hannah, one of the local hometown favorites from right here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Always a good crowd in the stands.
Very nice routine.
I can't think of a better way to finish, senior night, your last regular season competition at home, even though they will be here for Eagle, so that...
Still not the same.
It's not. I had one of those too where it's like you had senior night and the next weekend you have Eagle, and it's not your last meet at home, but it is. And you saw a handspring front pike out of Bailey Forbes for Towson. A lot of distance on that one. She landed really far from the vault.
Now, is distance something that judges look at?
It is. It definitely is. So the judges actually take deductions after they have finished on height, distance, and dynamics. So those are kind of 3 of their, wherever they want to write them down on the paper. So during the vault, they have their execution scores, and then they have height, distance, and dynamics. So they compare height in relation to the gymnast height, distance in relation to the gymnast height, and seeing how far they can get. So look like Bailey, maybe a little bit of deduction on height, but I don't think they can take anything on distance on that one. Then back over to the uneven bars. Melissa Brooker will be up next. So she again fell last weekend, actually hurt her toes just a little bit. So we, instead of seeing her all around tonight, we're only going to see her on the uneven bars. How is it? So she made a major mistake last weekend on this event. Actually kind of got a minor injury from it, and then now is competing on it again. Mentally, how is it coming back from that? What's going through her mind?
It puts that pressure on, but the thing about gymnastics is you're always going to make mistakes, and if you can't live with the mistakes, it's going to be harder on you. So this is another chance for her to do better and to redeem herself from her past mistake.
And I think she just did with a stuck layout, or landing on the double layout, which is what she actually nicked her toes on the bar on last weekend. So I almost wanted to, you breathe a sigh of relief, like, okay, I can do this again. It's not always going to be the way I finished it. And that was Gabriella Yarusi for Towson. Just a tiny hop on that layout, Yurchenko full.
A little under-rotated, which is not the best when you're vaulting.
It looked like she was trying to go for the stick and just didn't quite have enough of that rotation.
That seems to be a common mistake.
Yeah, and there you see some of the vault scores. So again, Marielle, they're probably hoping to throw that score out unless they have another major mistake. Gabriella, her score should be just fine. And then we've got one more, Erin Tucker, in their lineup. So again, they've got a couple of 9.5s, 9.55, and they're not quite the high score that they're looking for. Still solid scores, but like you mentioned, with their vault only being valued at a 9.8, that's about the highest you're going to get. And Amanda Fillard will be up 5th for the Wolfpack. She's going to start with that jump over mount. So you see him start at the very, very end of the matting. Nice, easy way to get up to the high bar to start.
Very nice ganger.
And Amanda been one of the most solid gymnasts this season for the Wolfpack. With all these injuries, it seems like no matter what Amanda does, you can always count on her.
She's really come into her own
to get some of those big scores.
You can tell that she has gotten that experience being the senior.
That was absolutely a beautiful routine. So again, you see a couple of 9.8s there already out of Hannah and Melissa. I would assume that Amanda's is going to be right there as well.
Absolutely, especially with that stuck dismount, the last thing the judges saw.
Yeah, that was absolutely beautiful. So maybe a new season career high. We'll just have to see what the team throws up. And then Erin Tucker just finished up for Towson on the vault. We've got one more competitor, Chelsea Knight, on the uneven bars. All right, and there you see the Towson Tigers getting some last-minute pointers, some encouragement before they head into floor by their head coach, Vicky. She's been with the team for 7 years. Prior to that, she spent 5 years with Maryland. So she's been in the Eagle Conference for quite a while, even though Maryland is no longer part of the Eagle Conference. So Amanda Fillard, her career high is a 9.875 on the uneven bars. I'm really curious to see if she could at least match that tonight. And then again in the final spot, Chelsea Knight. Chelsea, career high of a 9.9 on this event. Looks like the judges are just finishing up entering Amanda's score. And a 9.925. So what better way to finish your senior meet than with a new season and career high? And now Chelsea gets to follow that up. Again, her career high, 9.9, so maybe she can match that or even beat it tonight.
Very, very big Tkachev. She has a lot of power when she swings bars.
Absolutely gorgeous. I think those were two of the best routines I've seen out of this NC State Wolfpack this year on the uneven bars.
With two stuck dismounts right at the end.
And you see that smile on Chelsea's face. I don't think that's going away anytime soon.
That seems to be very happy with their bar performance.
Exactly. So that concludes our second rotation. So let's talk a little bit about Towson on the vault. So we noticed some lower start values, a little bit lower scores. How do you think that's going to play into the second half of this meet?
Unfortunately, that means they're just starting lower. So where they're trying to work their way back up, it's going to make it harder. So they really have to pull through on these next two events in order to catch up to NC State. They did have some very nice vaults towards the end with higher start values, but unfortunately the majority of them were lower.
Makes perfect sense. There you've got a look at the vault scores coming in. Erin Tucker with the finale at a 9.85. And then over on the uneven bar, so again, last weekend NC State had to count 2 falls on the uneven bars out of their 5. That was their starting event. Tonight was like a completely different team.
For sure.
So there you see some of their scores so far. Drew Grantham's 9.675 is going to get kicked out. I can't imagine that Chelsea's would be any lower than that. So I think that's a fantastic start. They could hit a 49 on that. So again, that will wrap up our second rotation. We'll be back in just a few minutes here on ESPN3. Stay tuned.
All right, once again, ladies and gentlemen.
North Carolina, you are floorside for women's NCAA gymnastics right here at the home of the NC State Wolfpack competing against the Towson Tigers. So we are midway through our competition for the evening. Stephanie, let's talk a little bit about what we can expect to see on vault and floor coming up.
Hopefully we'll see just as good of a beam lineup as we did last weekend. They had their season high. For Towson, they just need some solid routines on floor, staying in bounds, minimal deduction so they can catch up.
Definitely, and like you said, NC State had their season high last weekend on the balance beam, so hopefully we can continue with that. Let's take a look at some of the highlights So we've got Towson over on the vault. Again, some of these start values, actually none of the start values at a 10.0, not even really at a 9.95. That one probably the lowest one at a 9.8. So again, some of their scores in the 9.5 range. Good scores, but in collegiate gymnastics, you're definitely looking for 9.8s and above. And then over to NC State on the uneven bars. Talk about these last two routines that we saw out of Amanda and Chelsea.
These last two routines were phenomenal. You saw very minimal deduction. Amanda had a 9.925, which is close to perfect. Chelsea, same thing. So those two scores are really going to help that team.
Yeah, exactly. And both of those season highs and career highs. One judge, I mean, to get a 9.925, one judge had to give them a 9.95 and one a 9.0 or a 9.9. And so there's a 10th in deduction in that whole routine.
But very well deserved.
Most definitely. So there you see again, Drew Grantham's 9.675. Such a great score, but it almost looks minuscule compared to the 9.9 pluses. And NC State with their new season high bar score of a 49.25. So we are going to get started again. We've got the Towson Tigers getting ready for the floor exercise. NC State moving over to the balance beam. With all the excitement coming off of bars, how do you calm back down moving into beam?
I think it just breathing. Breathing is the best thing you can do when you're nervous and when you're onto a new event, leave what happened. But that adrenaline and that confidence will really help them going into the next event, I think.
Excellent. So we are about to get started with the third rotation. You see Drew is already ready to compete, just waiting for the judges' salute. Season high there you see last week against Southern Utah, a 48.8. So again, hopefully able to match and or beat that score. The unique thing last weekend, so Haley Mesmer was in the lineup, never competed before, and still able to get their season high.
That's awesome when you can change a lineup and do well, because that chemistry of the girls in the lineup is not quite there.
Yeah, so we're going to see her again tonight, again with Melissa Brooker only competing on one event, so Haley's going to be back in. And she did fall last weekend, but again, great experience. They were able to count the other 5 scores, and so it just gives her more practice.
This has been a very solid routine. Small bobble on that series earlier, but recovered nicely.
And again, balance beam, we're going to look for specific special requirements is what the judges call them to get their start values up to the 10.0. So like you said, one of those was that acro series that she had a small bobble on. Another one is a C value dismount, which is the 1.5. You see that quite a bit in collegiate gymnastics. We'll also see the gainer fall off the side a few times.
That was a great lead-off routine for balance beam.
Yep, and there you see the overall lineup. Only one senior in the lineup. So again, we've talked about this Wolfpack team being very young. You see 2 freshmen, 3 freshmen in the lineup, senior, junior, so they definitely have some more learning to do. Over on the floor exercise, Courtney Baker. So again, this is her 3rd and final event for the night. We will not see her in the beam lineup. Floor looking for a 2 salto pass, so 1 tumbling pass with 2 different kinds of flips in it, and you saw that there in her opening one, a front through to a double back.
And unfortunately, a double back or a double pike does not count as the 2 salto skill.
Right. Some people may mistake that they flip twice, but that's considered 1 salto, which is kind of confusing, even though it's a double salto. I never really thought of it that way. But one of the other requirements is they have to have 3 different saltos in their routine. So in that pass, she actually took care of 2 of those. Now she does at some point in this routine, we'll see another flip of some sort, whether it's a layout or a pike or something else. So nice double pike.
Yeah, so far 2 really great landings, and that's really what you want to focus on.
And she, like you mentioned, we were talking before the meet about some gymnasts only do 2 tumbling passes. The majority of them do 3, but she did 2, and they were great.
I actually senior year did 2. Definitely change in routine from what you're used to, but if you can make it, don't take the deduction.
Yeah, it actually makes a lot of sense because, like you said, that 3rd tumbling class, you can get more and more execution on it. So if you can cram it all into 2, then why not? I always did 3. It just seemed like the thing to do.
Sometimes it's a great saver for injuries.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So Alexa Phillips over on balance beam for the Wolfpack. Nice solid handspring layout step out. So again, one of those requirements. Probably the most common acro series that you will ever see in collegiate gymnastics.
Yes, occasionally you'll see the round off layout 2-foot step or layout 2-foot and the back handspring step out to a layout 2-foot, but not all the time.
Definitely, and very rarely. I mean, you see some of those front tumbling elements, but in an acro series, more often than not, it's probably the back handspring layout step out. And again, really just trying to improve upon their scores from last weekend. Although beam in last event, I guess they just thought they could leave it all out on the floor because they actually did really well on beam last weekend. So a fantastic second routine for the Wolfpack, and then moving over to the floor exercise, Noelle Harada.
It's always fun to see the music start with the mascots. For Towson, it's that tiger.
The tiger roar, yeah. The one that always got me was West Virginia's the shotgun.
Yes.
I always thought that was really funny. It's the shotgun before you.
But you know whose team it is.
You definitely do. In NC State, they've got the Wolfpack Howl. So definitely some different things that you see in collegiate gymnastics that you're not going to see in club gymnastics. You're not going to see in the Olympics. I don't think anyone in the Olympics is ever going to have some sort of animal at the beginning of their floor routines. That leap requirement, one of the other things that they have to have. And the leap has to have a 180-degree split or else there is some deductions there. So definitely want to make sure the gymnasts are flexible.
A nice last pass for her.
And so far, 2 great routines out of the Tigers. Some high fives all around for Noelle, and then Alexis Buechler over on balance beam for NC State. You see the judges sitting actually quite far away from the balance beam. As a judge, it's actually kind of nice to sit back because then you can see the whole gymnast versus if you move that table up towards the mats, you're almost looking up at them, so it's kind of difficult to see some of the angles and some of the body positions that they have to go through.
Unfortunately not for the advantage of the gymnast.
That is very true. It is nice for the judge, but the gymnast may like them a little bit closer.
So far, very nice, very solid.
Alexis has been great on balance beam this season for the Wolfpack. A 9.8 season high and career high as a freshman. So some very strong score. Just minor wobbles, but outside of that, her routines look pretty good so far. Just her dismount left.
Small hop.
I don't think she needed that hop.
No.
But we'll take it. Small hop, half a 10th. again, much better than anything else. Bailey Phobes for the Tigers on floor. So she did not compete in the uneven bars, but she's been on vaults, now floor, and then we'll also see her again on the balance beam. And this floor music actually sounds quite familiar. So different remix.
She had a lot of power going to that first pass, and that could be the floor. I mean, it's a very bouncy floor.
It is. Bailey is one of their seniors, only 4'11". So on floor, does that make too big of a difference as far as some of the tumbling? It looks like she's pretty powerful regardless.
I don't think height really has anything to do with it. If you're powerful and you can do what you got to do, that's all that matters.
I think you can tell she's got some height in some of these jumps and tumbling passes, so she seems to be able to move that around. Bailey Forbes finishing up her floor routine. Some great tumbling, great execution so far.
Another solid routine for Towson.
And high fives all around. So it's nice at the Eagle Championship, you can see the team girls or her teammates standing right on the edge of the floor. At Eagles, they have to stand in a corral, and kind of like their horses. But what is the difference between being able to stand on the floor and then being way far away?
I think there's so much going on. There's so many teams out there. It really helps to give the competitor their time on their event. Sometimes it takes away that team motivation that you have and the encouragement.
I can definitely see that. You see just a small error there for Amanda on her full turn. The thing that everybody hates. She really pulled her acro series back on. But yeah, it seems like when your team can stand next to you, NC State, you kind of see Coach Colleen off to the right side there, but all the girls are actually standing right next to Colleen. It just seems like you've kind of got them with you, and when they're stuck away, and those corrals are not close by any means. So see a sigh of relief there. Stayed on the full turn.
That's the most important. It was a bobbly routine for her, not as solid as we've seen, but staying on is the most important thing.
Exactly. And again, it's her senior night. The last thing you want to do is fall on an event you've been so solid on. So I think that was a great end to Amanda's senior night. And like you said, you really got to see her kind of blossom from a freshman to where she's at now. Just a huge staple for this Wolfpack team. Erin Tucker on floor.
Very nice double pike, a little aggressive and almost out of control, but she covered that well.
Able to stay in bounds too, which is nice.
I always enjoy seeing the different music and how it fits each gymnast. Very nice second pass.
Last season actually didn't compete very much on this event. A few appearances on vault last year, competed on uneven bars. So definitely has worked hard to get into the floor lineup in her 2017 season. Some nice rock music. Not something you hear too often on floor routines.
No, I actually did a lot of rock. I think the majority of my routines were rock, but
mine was anything you could like jump to and not have to dance to. Dancing was not my thing. So again, so far 4 for 4 for the Towson Tigers. Chelsea Knight up for the Wolfpack on balance beam. So again, kind of having to calm some of that adrenaline off of uneven bars.
Very solid series.
Doesn't seem to be affecting her so far.
Very unique turn. Very artistic and pretty.
And Chelsea actually from Maryland chose to come to school here in North Carolina rather than Maryland or Towson.
It's nice to get away from home.
I left as well, so.
Solid routine, small hop on the dismount.
Absolutely fantastic. So now here's the other question is, because they have had 5 solid routines, will they choose to compete Haley Mesmer on balance beam?
You've seen that a lot from NC State this year where they have put 5 up, and if those 5 have done really well, they choose not to compete that 6th person. So I really am not sure what they'll decide. But they've had 5 solid routines, so there may be no need.
Definitely. So we will see just here momentarily if they have Haley compete. But next up on floor, this is Gabriella Yarusi. Again, Gabriella, one of their all-arounders.
A very nice front handspring front double with a twist.
I always give credit to people that could like front twist. I couldn't twist in general.
You don't see a lot of front tumbling these days.
Yeah. So far 2 front tumbling passes. It almost makes you wonder if she doesn't like back tumbling, which is what I was strong at. I didn't understand the front tumbling. It didn't. The light bulb never went off.
I think that's a very unique thing about gymnastics, which makes it a fun sport to watch, is there's so many options.
So many options. They've actually got an entire book called The Code of Points, which all of these skills fall into somewhere. And if they don't, you can create it and you can actually get it named after you. So a lot of the skills with funky names. It's like the front 1.5 is a Rudy and a front double is a Randy, because those are the people that competed them first. So
very nice 3 tumbling passes for her.
This has been an absolutely phenomenal floor team so far for Towson. Last week they only went 48-6-7-5. So based on what I've seen so far, I feel like they're going to beat that score.
Absolutely. I don't see why they shouldn't.
And it does look like they are going to compete a 9.9 out of Chelsea on the balance beam. So a 9.9 on beam, a 9.875 on vault, and a 9.925 on, I mean, she's going for a record here.
She's having a great meet tonight.
Haley again fell last week on the balance beam. So far looks a little bit better, maybe a little bit more confidence.
Since they don't have a lot of depth right now, exhibition isn't something they need. So I'm sure that the 5 up, this gives her a chance to get that experience so they have that option later on.
And I think, you know, we've talked about the pressure before. You have 5 good scores. Her score, it could help, but it's almost like an exhibition spot where if she does make a mistake, they've already got 5 scores. I know obviously she wants to do fantastic, but I think it kind of takes some of the pressure off.
And putting her in the middle of the lineup, if she were to fall, that puts that pressure back on those girls to make the routine.
I think you can see she's pretty happy with that routine. I think that was pretty solid, especially for your second time competing in a collegiate meet on balance beam. Again, I didn't like beam, so I give anyone credit for that. Final competitor in the lineup for Towson is Tyra McKellar. Again, they've got the two all-arounders, Gabriella, who we just saw, and Tyra. So anchor on floor, you're normally expecting this one to be the best routine of the team.
A lot of times we'll see anchors with the hardest tumbling passes, or sometimes it will be the seniors of the team or one who consistently scores the highest.
I didn't get a chance to see what Gabriella's score is, but so far this one has been pretty solid.
Very nice double back, very high.
That was huge. I don't know that you could actually tell how high that was from the camera angle, but sitting floor side, I mean, I feel like she was up above where the audience and the second level are seating.
Absolutely, it was high.
We'll just have to have them come back at Eagle so they can see it in person.
Absolutely. 3 solid tumbling passes.
And again, a fantastic finish for Towson. They do have one exhibition, Melissa Temkov. So it will take us just a minute to get to her as the judges finish calculating the score for Tyra. And since NC State's done, we don't have anyone to show currently. But let's talk a little bit about NC State's balance beam today. So again, they had a season high last week of 48.8. I don't know what the score is yet, but that looked pretty good.
It was solid, and that 9.9 is really going to help them out. Unfortunately, they did have to count a 9.675, but it's not going to harm them too much because that 9.9 pulls it up a little.
Yeah, definitely. So again, if you're looking for a 9.7, 9.8 average, if you essentially take a 10th off of Chelsea's at a 9.8, stick it on Amanda's or Haley's, then you're kind of right back into where you need to be. So like you said, even though they have to count one, I think they'll be okay there. So you can see the final beam scores of the gymnasts there. And they are just getting set for Melissa here on the floor exercise. I don't know that Towson did quite enough to catch back up to NC State since they were about a little over a point behind. But I think they did make up some ground here on floor.
They had to. The 6 routines that they put up were very solid, minimal deduction. I don't see why they haven't made up some ground, but unfortunately vault really pulled them down.
It definitely hurt. So again, Melissa Temkoff, exhibition spot, so great time for Towson to throw somebody in case they do have an injury coming up. I know Coach Stevenson, he doesn't really have anyone left in the lineup to even do some of these exhibition spots. It's nice he can put in a full team tonight compared to last week when they only competed 5 people on 3 of the events. So we will hang out and watch Melissa's floor routine.
A nice full in, a little early on the takeoff.
One of the probably the hardest tumbling pass we've seen out of the Tigers tonight.
Yes, and it may be new, which is why she's in the exhibition.
She is a freshman actually from Ontario, Canada.
A long way from home.
Yes. It's probably a little bit warmer in Maryland. Maybe nice. She actually helped Team Ontario win the silver medal at the 2015 Canada Winter Games. National team member for the country.
Something to be proud of.
And won gold on vault and this event right here, floor at the 2015 Ontario Championships.
A solid last tumbling pass.
It seems like she's going to be in the floor lineup probably before too long, whether it's this season or maybe as taking over for one of the seniors next year. But that was a fantastic floor routine out of Melissa. So it was a fantastic third rotation. We've got some final scores to come in, and we will be back right here on ESPN 3 with the fourth and final rotation. You're watching NCAA Women's Gymnastics.
6-minute clock that includes a 2-minute transition into our fourth and final event, where Towson will be on balance beam.
Reynolds Coliseum, you are getting ready to watch the fourth and final rotation for NCAA Women's Gymnastics with your NC State Wolfpack and the Towson Tigers. We're going to take a look at some of the highlights from Towson here on floor. And again, a fantastic score out of the Tigers for their third event.
Some solid tumbling, looked very aggressive and confident. Gorgeous elbow back, that was so high.
That smile on her face, I think, gives it away there.
So let's give it up for both our competitors, Ramsey and Ava. They're both going to get.
Again, some of their all-rounders, and then back over to NC State on the balance beam.
Great lead off for Drew, a 9.8.
Fantastic, and last weekend they actually got a season high of 48.8. Killed it tonight.
And got a 48.
9.25, I believe.
So close to that 49, but definitely did better than last weekend, which is always what you want.
Exactly, and they had the two scores at a 9.675. I know Amanda had a couple of mistakes. Haley, a fantastic showing for her second time out, so either one of them could definitely be. And then Chelsea Knight just killing it tonight.
Matching her season or career high of a 9.9.
Yeah, so she's had a phenomenal meet, almost meeting or beating her career high on every event so far. So there you've got the final scores for balance beam for the NC State Wolfpack. Again, you can drop either Amanda's or Haley's, however you want to look at it, but one of those 9.675s counts. And then another few 9.8s, 9.9 out of Chelsea.
All right, and some of you have entered to win tonight's prize of the night.
Over to the floor, you see the Towson Tigers. So again, they had a phenomenal floor team prior to this, a 48.675 last weekend, and that definitely gets above it.
And only dropping a 9.725 is a pretty good score to drop.
Yeah, they were fantastic. All their tumbling was really clean. They hit their landings. Their leaps were good. Their dance was good. Everyone looked like they were having a really fun time. So as we go into the fourth and final event, we've got NC State on floor exercise. Towson has to finish up on balance beam. What is that like?
That definitely puts the pressure on them. Balance beam is one of those events where it's so easy to make a mistake, so easy to fall. But if they're confident and they go in, calm, cool, and collected, I'm sure that they can do well.
And you see no freshmen in their lineup there, so everyone with at least a little bit of experience. You've got their two all-arounders, Tyra and Gabriella, Marielle that we've seen on a couple other events, Aaron that we've seen on a couple other events. So able to hit their routines. Balance beam, they're actually ranked 27th in the country with a 48.95 RQS. So Towson is actually going to get us started on the balance beam. You see their beam team over in the corner. Tyra McCullough, the anchor on floor exercise, and the leadoff man here on balance beam. And the judges do wait until the gymnast is ready, so you saw some last minute words of encouragement from the coach there as we get underway.
I know from my days, Colleen had something different she said to each of us, and so I'm sure it's the same for their team.
Just those last minute little things that help calm you down.
Reminders that you specifically need sometimes.
She has some very unique combinations. So her acro series, a backhand spring, swing through to a side summy, and then a cat leap into her full turn. So some different ways to get bonus. So a little wobble there on this connection. The split jump, split 3/4. So again, another bonus 10th. Trying to get that start value up to a 10.0. And she's finished. Easy on, easy off. You do a bunch of combinations and you're good to go.
And a solid stick at the end. Very nice, solid routine to lead off Towson.
Starting off on floor exercise for the Wolfpack, Alexis Buechler.
You see the lineup there for NC State floor. Alexis Buechler is going to get us started again. Freshman that's had to get essentially thrown into this lineup, and she's been fantastic. So came in early on and has really been a great performer for the Wolfpack.
Great double pike.
Just a little bit of flex feet. Again, we can see some different things being floor side than some of the angles that we get, but other than that, very clean. At NC State, we're going to get a pretty wide variety of floor music, so you'll be able to really tell the difference in some of these gymnast styles. But like you were saying, you can do skills that fit each person. You don't all have to do the same thing, so kind of one of the nice things. And as you're watching at home, again, you can always watch for the Wolfpack hand gesture in all of the floor routines. You always see that deep breath right before their last and final tumbling pass.
Very nice last tumbling pass.
Just absolutely nails it. So a fantastic start for the Wolfpack on floor here on their home turf. Noelle Harada for the Tigers on beam.
Small balance error right there, but was able to recover.
So again, these two teams are they're gonna see each other again in a week back here in Reynolds Coliseum. So do you think Towson is using this almost as like a practice? Like, hey, you know, we're coming right back. We may as well get used to the equipment and just kind of feel things out. I mean, they obviously want a good score, but is that helpful?
Yeah, I remember from my days, we would always go to the venue that we were competing at for Eagle if we could. It's a great chance to see the lighting, to see the equipment, to just feel what it would be like and really prepare. I mean, any way you can prepare is always nice.
You mentioned the lighting. So obviously Reynolds has been completely renovated. We're now used to the lights having been here all season, but it seemed like it was a lot darker before in some of the old seasons.
Oh yeah, and some of their lighting was just really sporadic throughout the arena, and they would turn some off so it didn't blind you.
Yeah, so it does take a little bit to get used to some of the lights. I remember the first meet in here this season, it was like, wow, this is really bright. We've got Alexa Phillips on floor. Huge, absolutely huge opening tumbling pass and stays right in bounds on that. Alexa, again, normally a vault and floor specialist, actually threw bars into the lineup tonight. Saw her on balance beam, so making a debut as an all-arounder.
It's always fun to compete all around, at least once in college. Help your team out on all 4 events.
Especially when you hit the event that you're not normally a part of, like she did with the uneven bars. So.
Of course. She is full of smiles tonight.
I still think if her and her sister traded floor routines, I would not be able to tell them apart.
They look so much alike.
Their dance is similar. Their styles are very similar. They even do the same opening tumbling pass. So, and I think they may end the same too. But a routine that deserves all those smiles. That was absolutely fantastic. And of course, sister's the first one to greet her.
It must be nice having a sister and a teammate and a best friend all in one.
Yeah.
Makes their college experience
until
unique.
you get mad at them.
Oh, of course.
And then they don't go anywhere. So back over to the balance beam. Gabriella Yarusi, her fourth and final event. So we've got quite a few all-arounders tonight. Again, a couple on Towson's team and quite a few on NC State's team as well.
Very unique series, front aerial into the immediate back handspring layout step out. Unfortunately, a fall, but hopefully she'll recover well and not take any other deductions.
And then if the rest of her team can really help her out, they won't have to count this routine. Because no matter what, even if you fall, and that was a fantastic way to finish with the stuck dismount, but you think a fall is already 5'10", so the maximum score you're going to get is a 9.5. More often than not, it's probably, what, a low 9 if everything else is clean.
But the last thing you want is to give up more tenths, so that score is way lower and one that you really don't want to use.
Definitely. Drew Grantham in the third spot for the Wolfpack here on floor exercise. Saw her. She started off with the Wolfpack hand gesture.
A little early on that full in, but
a little bit able. I mean, she pulled it around just a little bit quirky on the landing.
But I'll take a funky landing versus a fall.
Definitely, and it may have been a 10th or so not even that big of a deal.
Very solid second pass.
And she's been fantastic for this Wolfpack team, again, with all these injuries that they've had throughout the season. Drew's really had to step up to the plate, and she is just, after the first couple meets, kind of getting some of those jitters out of the way, has just been amazing as one of their all-arounders. Leadoff person on two of the harder events, bars and beam, and just really solid on the floor and the vault.
She's been very enjoyable to watch this season and a real team player. Beautiful double pike to end.
That was huge, and that was probably one of the skills at the beginning, her first couple of floor routines that really gave her a lot of issues, just kind of gassed at the beginning of this season. So you can tell she's really built up some of her endurance as the last 12 weeks have gone on.
You don't realize how much energy that third pass takes out of you until you're doing it.
Exactly. Bailey Forbes for Towson on the balance beam. And this crowd has been great tonight. One of the things, they really get into these floor routines, but as soon as balance beam starts, they instantly calm down.
That's always nice when you have a crowd that's very respectful of your competition.
Definitely. Now, next weekend when there's 6 teams competing, so there's going to be 2 buys, so 2 teams will be off to the side, but somebody's always going to be on floor and vault. How does that play into beam? Do you hear the cheers? Do you block them out mentally?
Every person's different. Some it fuels them up. Others are really able to block it out. But that's part of the sport, and part of what makes each gymnast different and helps them to be better is to learn how to block it out or to use it to their advantage.
I think maybe if you start your routine and it's loud, as long as it's loud the whole time, but maybe if it starts quiet and then all of a sudden erupts if somebody gets a big score.
Yes, that's definitely harder.
may distract you a little bit. And there again, you saw Bailey finishing up her balance beam routine. Very solid, just a couple of really minor errors.
But to come back from a fall last,
From
last,
Gabriella, yeah.
It helps to be able to go up there and hit it and to have that confidence. It helps her teammates, take some of the pressure off.
Bailey, again, a 3-event specialist, so just no uneven bars for her. Look here at Chelsea. See if she can, again, meet or exceed her career high on this event, which is a 9.85. So her other 3 events, career highs of 9.9. We'll see if she can't do that here on the floor exercise.
Definitely excited for this event. You can tell coming off the last 3. It's interesting, she does the same turn on floor as she does on beam.
Yeah, very, like you said, it was a really unique turn on balance beam. On floor, not quite as unique. We see it a little bit more often.
Beautiful opening pass. And it's fun to watch her because she does not do a back handspring between the roundoff and the double pike.
Yeah, I've never understood that. I guess I was just always trained that way, but
it's more recent now to see just the roundoff, not the roundoff back handspring.
Definitely. I know a lot of these gymnasts, again, they have a lot of power, so they do worry about going out of bounds. The back handspring takes up quite a bit of room, so if you can shorten your tumbling pass and almost eliminate the possibility of going out of bounds, I would definitely consider it.
It takes one less thing off your shoulders, something less to worry about.
Chelsea, one thing I've noticed throughout this season too is she just seems to smile a lot more on floor. The first couple of meets, she was just very straight-faced.
She's very positive towards the end, and I think some of that was that pressure. The girls were hurt, and now they're coming into it. A lot of power for that last pass.
A lot of power. Again, able to stay in bounds, but had that big hop. So that'll be a little bit in execution, but that was a fantastic routine out of Chelsea. And for Mark, having lost 20 routines, it's just amazing to see what he's been able to put together with some of the newer freshmen coming in that he's had to throw into the lineup spots. Sometimes even only competing with 5 girls. So it's just been awesome to watch.
And it's great to see the girls staying positive, not to have already thrown in the towel or to give up. Being 44th and trying to get to that 36th spot, they seem to be confident and still pushing ahead and really trying. And that's all you can really ask of those girls.
This is Marielle Ardrino on the balance beam. The only event we did not see her on tonight was the floor exercise.
Solid back handspring layout step out. Do you need a 180-degree split on beam, or is that just on floor?
You do, just like on floor. So on balance beam, you do have to have a leap pass, so a leap and a jump after it, or 2 leaps, and one of them has to have a 180-degree split.
So you have to have a leap this year, or you can have a straddle jump or a popa instead into a connection of some sort?
That's a great question. I believe in club gymnastics you have to have a leap off of 1 foot. The rules are a little bit different for college, so that's something that I would definitely have to check, but they do have to have at least a 180-degree split and a leap series. So
they change so often.
They do.
It's hard to keep up with them.
It definitely is. And here we've got Paris Phillips on the floor. Again, I know Coach Stevenson very excited to have her back. I'm sure Alexa happy to have her sister back on floor as well. So you were saying before on some of these routines with the endurance, so Paris hasn't really done full floor routines outside of the last week. So hopefully she's not too gassed on this one. She doesn't look like it so far.
It's really easy to lose that endurance, but she looks in great shape, and I really don't think this far into season that's something she has to worry about.
That's good, definitely. A little bit loose on that tumbling pass, so again, maybe just some of the not quite practicing as much. At this point, you would never know she had missed a beat, though.
See her teammates really cheering her on in that corner. It's always nice to have that extra power.
She just has so much fun. I just, I love watching her because she really enjoys herself on floor.
A great showing for Paris.
Fantastic, especially again having been out for 3 meets. That first one, I feel like it's always hard to come back. No matter what, it's always that kind of nervous, anxious, like, hey, I hope I can pick up right where I left off. And the final competitor for Towson on the balance beam, Erin Tucker. I always feel like the final competitor on beam in a dual meet maybe, because everybody is watching you. It's just the very last person. Floor, obviously the very, very last person, but beam, it's like, okay, you've got all the eyes just staring you down.
Especially with her knowing that her teammate has already fallen, she definitely needs a hit routine.
Oh, and I think you spoke too soon. You may have jinxed her on that. So that, again, now they've got to count one of these falls. But outside of that, Towson's had a really strong meet.
Better get the falls out this week than next weekend, and they have another meet this weekend, so they have a chance to redeem themselves.
Conference championships is still anybody's match. All 6 teams are rivals to an extent. I mean, they're all very nice to each other, but they obviously are all hoping for that conference championship. So,
like most collegiate sports, some of these girls were teammates with some of the girls that are now on opposite teams of them. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to compete against them and see how they do.
And actually, Coach Stevenson is not going to compete Haley Mesmer, so he is happy with the 5 scores prior. Again, this is something that he's done quite a few times. So Haley warms up, she gets prepared, and then doesn't actually. So this concludes our competition. We are going to take a look back at some of the scores. Nothing is official until the judges actually sign off on that. So there you've got the Towson balance beam. We'll wait for Erin Tucker's score to come in. NC State, we've got 5 scores up and 5 scores will count. So that will do it for us here tonight. You are watching the NC State Wolfpack with NCAA Women's Gymnastics on ESPN3. Definitely stay tuned for the award ceremony, but we are going to sign off and join us next week for the Eagle Championship.
Amanda is
a big round of applause for Wolfpack senior Amanda Fuller.
Good job, Amanda!
Our next senior is from Charlotte, Miss Courtney Layton, and she is joined by her father, Alan Layton, and her grandmother, Barbara B. We are now going to turn the microphone over to her junior teammate, Nicole Weil, who would like to say a few words about Courtney.
Courtney started her career here at State competing as a vault and floor specialist. She saw action in 4 meets her freshman year when she recorded a season high of 9.75. Courtney missed both her 2015 and 2016 seasons due to injuries. In 2016, Courtney was named to the All-Eagles Classic team. Although Courtney missed her sophomore and junior seasons, she was a vital aspect to our team's success with her dedication and optimistic spirit. She always shows her true passion and love for the sport through her unyielding support of her teammates and her resilient attitude in recovering from major injuries during her missed seasons. Courtney is the only gymnast on the team that executes a front entry vault, which she has successfully performed in her return to action this 2017 season. Not only does she excel on vault, but she also excels in the classroom and will graduate this May with a degree in applied nutrition. Courtney has plans to attend PT school post-graduation and would like to aid athletes like herself return to their desired sport. Courtney's smile, leadership, and quirky personality has imprinted itself on this team and will be deeply missed. Courtney always comes into the gym with a positive attitude and is eager to continue progressing. She's one of the easiest people to communicate with and is always willing to lend a hand. Her resilient character will assist her as she makes the transition into adulthood. Thank you for being the most inspiring member and friend on this team. You will be forever remembered. Congratulations on your fantastic college career and good luck with all of your future endeavors.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for senior Courtney Layton. And it's now time to recognize our final senior from right here in Raleigh, Miss Hannah Soban. Hannah is joined by her father, Nadur, mother, Laura, and sister, Lydia. And we are now going to turn the microphone over to junior teammate, Chelsea Knight, who's going to say a few words about Hannah.
Hannah did not see action her freshman year, but continued to work hard making lineups her sophomore year. Hannah has been a bar specialist for NC State throughout the last 3 years. She competed on bars for the entire season, making the lineups for 6 meets during her sophomore year, posting a career best of a 9.875. Hannah continues to compete for the Wolfpack on bars and has tied her career best this season. She was a member of the 2015 Eagle All-Academic Team. In 2016, she continued to demonstrate scholastic achievement by being named to the 2016 All-Eagle Scholastic Team, which is an exceptional accomplishment. Hannah plans to graduate in May with a degree in business administration. Upon graduation, Hannah will be working in her hometown of Raleigh before pursuing a master's degree. Hannah has an amazing laugh that can light up any room. Her honesty and understanding personality has made her a trustworthy individual on this team. Hannah is a strong, independent woman and carries these qualities with her everywhere she goes. Her encouraging attitude will be greatly missed. We know that your future will be full of blessings and great prosperity. Congratulations on your outstanding collegiate career and good luck in all of your future endeavors.
Ladies and gentlemen, give a big round of applause for senior Hannah Soban. And at this time, we'd like you to give a big round of applause for our entire senior Wolfpack gymnastics class of 2017.